We're at the New Book Shed. We've got a nice view over the pitch, and I'm sat with AFC Telford manager Gavin Cowan as we look forward to pre-season and the 2019-20 season as well, Gavin. I know it's about 12 months since we sat downstairs, actually, you and I, and did one of these more so for the programme, and a lot's changed since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah, certainly for me. Obviously, I'm a year into the job, so slightly more assured, slightly more organised. It's not so much of a whirlwind, but yeah, it feels that way. I can't really pinpoint a lot of why that is, but yeah, it certainly feels like we're in a slightly more optimistic time.
Sure. Okay. What do you think what was the biggest change for you over the course of last year?
I think, when I came into the job, I think I was probably on the front foot a little bit and could have come across quite confrontational in the sense that, I wanted to change the mentality of the football club. I think there was a very prison-like mentality for whatever reason, and for whatever had gone on previously at the club. It was none of my business at the time, but it was just an observation I'd made and how I felt as though it was very different to my time playing here, where there was, the word I'd use was electric. And I think we brought a little bit of that electricity back to the club last year, and that was my aim, and it couldn't be done with just me. It was, again, as you know, my passion is community, so I wanted to reach out to businesses and the community, and they've certainly done that. The support that we had last year was unprecedented, and I felt as though the businesses now, we're looking around the ground and the boards and the people that are getting involved with the club. It's again, I think I used the word, people are optimistic now, which is a nice feeling. It's I'm proud to have played a small part in that.
Sure. I mean that those off the field developments over the course of the summer. That's got to be pleasing to you to think that you've played a part in that, which you did by what you put on the field last season, but it's all part of that progress, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's people at the football club, the board, Luke Shelley, Amy, they work incredibly hard to try and get things off the ground, but obviously when you're not getting results, football is a fickle game, and it makes their job even more difficult. So what we've been able to do is, I think results is one thing, but I think, again, I always talk about our supporters being a group of supporters that just want to see effort. They just want to see a team that are passionate. They want to see a manager and his staff that are passionate, that they're leaving no stone unturned, and that's what I felt like we did last year. Through our capabilities at the time, I felt as though we left no stone unturned and went not just the extra mile, but probably the extra 100 miles to try and get things back to where we know they can be. And we're on a slightly more even keel now, and like I say, I'm sure people are that little bit more optimistic, and we're not so much looking downwards. We're looking at being a little bit more level-headed about what's to come.
Sure. Now, last season did end disappointingly, obviously, the final day with just missing out on a playoff place. How much do you think that's kind of going to affect people's expectations this year, and your own expectations? I don't expect you to share that necessarily with me, because I know you like to keep those kind of goals for the team to set them themselves and that to be in-house. But how do you deal with that? Yeah,
I think it shifted slightly. I think we have to be. I don't like being realistic, because I always say that there's no roof on anything. I don't like being realistic, but we have to find a balance between extreme optimism and realism. And I think where that is for me is, I don't mind sharing my goal setting. I think last year it was about achieving fourth from bottom and making sure we weren't relegated, and that's where we were, as a football club at the time. I think this year we can be slightly more optimistic. I think the expectation that we can have of ourselves as a football club, that's the staff, the players, the board, that's the supporters, that's the local community. I think we can have an expectation of certainly looking to reach mid-table points and then looking from there, and that's my goal. My goal is short, medium and long term, and the short was to stabilise the club, try and get us into a place where people believed in us again, shift the mentality, which I feel like we've done, earn the right for people to want to come and pay their money to be a part of the club again. And like I say, that's both ways, but yeah, where I feel like we're at now is it shifted a little bit, and I think our first goal is going to be certainly looking at getting those mid-table points and then kicking on from there, like I did last year. We achieved them points of staying above relegation pretty quickly. Then we got to the mid-table point, and then again, I'm very honest and transparent. I don't try not to hold anything back. So if it comes across as a cliche, but I'll be honest. Last year, when I said the playoffs were achievable, I came out and said very publicly that they were going to be achievable. And listen, like I say, there's no roof on what we can achieve. Where I believe we can go, and my personal belief is, I believe that we can work extremely hard as a group. Not a team, not a squad, but a group. And I believe that we can surpass any expectations. But whether we do that or not is left to us to work hard and go above and beyond, like I've adhered to already. But what I will say is we're certainly going to try and hit those points and then kick on from there, and we'll try and hit them as early as we can. But ultimately, where we are as a football club, we're still building, and we are in that sort of short to mid-term, for where I set out when I took the job. So I don't want to try and take any tinge off it, because there is no disappointment after that last game at York. We missed out on the playoffs by a goal. If someone would have given us that at the start of the season, we would have taken it, and the cup run that we had was, nothing short of amazing, really. So I think going into this year, we've been able to stabilise the football club, we've been able to shift the mentality, and now we can look forward to really being optimistic and wanting to hit goals, but one goal at a time.
Sure. Now, you've shown quite a big vote of confidence in the playing staff that they had last season. I think you've kept all bar maybe 2 or 3, and obviously there's the loss of Daniel Udo, which we'll just touch on. How important is that continuity to keep that group together? You said that you felt they deserved another shot at it.
Yeah, I think it's dependent on the group. I don't think it's always important to keep the players and the continuity, but like you rightly said, I feel like their attitude and their application over the course of the season and what they were buying into with me, they really laid on the line. And what I felt with each individual player and them as a group is that, through some guidance from me and the staff, that we can help them build again. If I felt as though that was their limit, then they would have had to have moved on, but it would have been in the nicest possible way. But I still feel like this group can build, I feel like these players can build. I feel like now we're well ahead of where we were last pre-season. I haven't got to go right back to the beginning and strip it right back. The new players having to learn very quickly. It might sound like Chinese to them sometimes, but the existing players is what I'll call them, is they already know the patterns, they already know what they're required to do in and out of possession in all 3 phases of the pitch. So it's a good start for us, and the fact that the players have come back well ahead of schedule, they've clearly stuck to their pre-season programmes that they were given in the off season, and they've come back and we're right on the money. So it's like I say, it's important, dependent on the group, and with this group they deserved a chance and they'd earned it, and I did feel as though that they could continue to be better, but we were going to need additions, and like you rightly say, a couple of them have fallen by the wayside, which is absolutely fine in the nature of football. But I wanted to keep that continuity. I want the supporters here to see that there's a group of lads who are passionate. What I will do is give them all credit, because we're still on a budget. There's no magic wand being waved here. We're still working with limited resources, but still feel very privileged to work at a football club like this. Fantastic ground, and the White House now really supporting what we're doing, so we're able to use the gym. Lilleshall National Sports Centre are second to none, and they're so supportive of what they're doing. And again, that's come from a good relationship and the community buying into what we're doing. So I just feel as though those players deserve the chance to kick on and build, and I think they can. And with the new additions, I think we can build, but again, a goal at a time. Okay,
so I was going to come on to those new additions, because there's 3 by name, and I was going to sort of talk about them individually, really, in terms of what you feel that fans might be able to expect to them and what they're kind of going to bring to the group. So I think if we start with Chris Lake, because I think Chris Lake was the first in. So what was you thinking behind his signing?
Chris is for me playing in the league below, which, with the greatest respect, I felt as though he had excelled last year, but I think that was because he was a player that shouldn't have been playing at that level. I think he scored close to 20 goals, plays out wide, plays on either wing, left foot, right foot, can cut inside, can go on the outside. He can create, he can score. He's very direct, and it's something that I felt that we needed. Obviously with Ryan Barnett going back to Shrewsbury, that directness, that's something that's going to get people off their seats. He's certainly that. And again, he comes with a real belief in himself, and and he's got a point to prove, because he had a good spell at Solihull, but unfortunately left and went to Tamworth. But he's got a point to prove that he's good enough at this level, and I believe he is. But he's very direct. I think the fans will be very excited by him, and he fits the bill quite nicely.
Sure. Now, Adam Walker was the second player in, arriving from Brackley Town, and I think that was a signing that particularly sort of got the supporters excited about the fact that somebody would leave a really, really good, consistently challenging team in Brackley to come to Telford. But obviously you've sold in the vision of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, obviously I know Adam quite well from my time playing with him at Nuneaton and Solihull, and I'm well aware of how good he is, and he really is that good. He's an exceptional footballer at this level, and I think he's earned 3 promotions, and like you rightly say, he's been part of what has been a brilliant Brackley squad over the last few years. But when I got the call saying that he might be available, it was one that I jumped to immediately. Like I say, I know what Adam's capable of, and it was a no-brainer for me. So again, I don't think it was a reflection on Brackley. I think he felt as though he needed a change in work circumstances, and I think the only person he would have left that football club for was me, because of our relationship. So I don't think it was anything other than a change of scenery for him, and we can offer him that, and like you say, he gets to come to this phenomenal football ground and play his football, and he's really pleased, and he's come back ready to go.
Sure. And then finally, or certainly for now, Aaron Williams was the last player in through the door, and I know that before he'd signed, I know you didn't mention him by name, but you told me that you were talking to somebody that you felt would excite the fans in terms of what he can do, and his track record at this level.
Yeah, I think you're just dealing with a goal scorer, aren't you? And I think there's I don't want to compare, but obviously we lose Daniel, we need someone who's going to score goals, and I feel like we've got that in Marcus and Andre, and I just felt Aaron was the right fit for the way we play. I almost embarrassed myself last year by trying to sign him when he'd obviously had a phenomenal season, but again, I see no roof on what we can do, and again, I was a little bit maybe brash and going to him and asking him this time around. He was with a very good football club, and obviously the season he'd had previously, he was very, very much sought after, and we managed to get him, and that was fantastic. It's a real coup for this football club, because, like I say, I think that at least half of the clubs in our league were after him. So the fact that we got him was a real testament to us, and I had to meet with him and his dad. His dad's very important to him and his career, and he takes a lot of advice to him. So we went out for lunch and had a good chat, and he decided that this was the place for him, and we're really pleased to have him, and I know he's really, really excited to be here and can't wait to get going.
Sure. So by the sound of things, you're not anticipating the style of play to be hugely different this season with the personnel that have come in?
It'll evolve. It will have evolved, yeah. It will be, I believe in what I believe in, and I think we had a really good mix. We spoke actually as a group about how we play, and we will play to how the conditions deem themselves to be fit. If we need to be a passing team, we'll be a passing team, and I think we did that a lot last year, and it was nice to get a lot of plaudits from certainly opposition, who were very complimentary of how well we play football. But if we need to go slightly direct, then we'll need to do that. If we need to battle, we'll need to battle. If we need to be cute and manage games, we'll do that, and that's where we need to be. There needs to be a level of football intelligence this year, a little bit above and beyond what we had last year, and I think the players are aware of that. We're working extremely hard on that, and I think we just need to be a little bit more fluent in our approach. We need to be a little bit more diverse in how we can adapt ourselves to games and opposition, but the players understand. We met last Saturday, and I delivered a presentation to them to outline everything that was going to be expected, and I think they're all on board and really excited to build on what we did last year.
Sure, and you said that they've all come back, not just sort of like physically ready or where you would expect them to be, but that mental side of it as well.
Yeah, I don't know how they couldn't be. With the season that they had last year, when none of them were really expected to achieve anything. I think people on the last day, I think something that you said to me in the post-match interview was, it's disappointing to end like that. There is no end. There is no end to this journey. It's a continuous journey for us that we're going to keep building on. And the moment we stop building, it'll be the time that I start addressing it and trying to understand why. But as long as we keep building, and I want that to be as quick as possible. I'm the same as the supporters. I want that building process to be quick, to be fast. I want it all to come now, yesterday even. But we also have to have that element of realism, and we have to be patient. And sometimes, it doesn't all come to you at once. But we are building, and since I've been in the job, I do feel that every day has been an improvement. Every hour has been an improvement. Every week's been an improvement, and we've just continued to grow and grow and grow. And that's what I want for this football club. I want this football club to be a club that's growing every day, every week, every month, every year, and every season, and to be improving and get to where we want to get to.
Sure. Now, pre-season, as I say, pre-season in public starts tomorrow evening against Market Drayton, and I get the sense from the pre-season programme that it's very much about designed towards building towards that kick-off on August the 3rd. Yeah,
well, as you know, Rich, everything I do is strategic, and it was really important that we were able to get the pre-season games that we wanted. This week I've been working a lot out of possession, and it was great to go over to West Brom and play them behind closed doors, because as you can imagine, a lot was out of possession. Not as much as I thought it was going to be, but it was certainly a lot of work out of possession. It was it worked out brilliant for us. So it gives us a chance now to give a few people a chance tomorrow. Guys coming in, trialists and whatnot, and also get some minutes under the belt for a few of the players. But yeah, the pre-season fixtures are very strategic, exactly how I wanted them to be. So yeah, we're really happy about that.
Okay, you've still got a few trialists around the squad. Then you're still looking in one or two positions.
Yeah, good. I always think it's important to look at the local talent. If there's anyone who's really ripping it up and who's exceptional out there, I think it's important that we get them in. We have a bit of a moral responsibility to offer opportunity. And what I don't want someone doing well over at Market Drayton or Ellesmere or wherever, and then someone from a different county snapping them up. If that's the case, we're not doing our job properly. So. I think it's important to give local talent a chance. We've done that, and we've also brought in a couple of, wild cards, as I call them. Guys who want to earn the right and who show a lot of willing and want to be a part of what we're doing. I think it's only right that we open the doors to that, but also it has to be right for us. The 18 players that have been signed, it's important that they get priority and that nothing sort of jeopardises their build-up and their preparation. So we're lucky because the lads that are coming are really nice lads and great characters, and I hope they do well and they can show me, Phil and the staff, that they're capable of being part of this squad.
That's great. In terms of fixtures came out last week, I'm guessing in terms of who you play, when and where, it doesn't concern you that much. You've got to play everybody home and away, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I want everyone. I want the hardest teams first. That's just the way it is. I want to go to the biggest guy. I want to find out who is going to be at the top, and I want to play them. And I think that's the way we've got to be. And I don't want it to come across as arrogant, but we're not fearful of anyone. We don't need to be. We go into it loving what we're doing, and we're very prepared. So when you're prepared, often you enjoy it that much more. You lack in fear because you're prepared and you know what's coming, and that's where I want us to be. I want the players to be in a position where they're fit, they know exactly what they're doing, and that they can go out onto any pitch, and as long as they apply themselves, they're going to give any team a run for their money, and that's where I want us to be. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to prove to be a really good season. I think the team that are going to be the most consistent excellence, show the most consistent excellence, will be the team that will be at the top. A little bit obvious, I know, but I really think consistency will be a key again this year, and I want that to be us. I want us to be consistent, and whether that means consistent in terms of being mid-table initially, then that's where we'll get to, but then we'll be consistent in pushing on from there. But I'm excited about just getting back into the games and the competition and putting ourselves out of our comfort zones and really just trying to achieve and just bring the good times back to this football club again as when I was a player, like we did last year. And I want to take it to the next level, of course, but again, I go back to we have to goal set, and initially it's one goal at a time. So let's get to that goal, and let's be realistic about where we should be and where we can be. We won't win the league in the first 5 games. We won't win them in 5 games around Christmas. It'll be the whole season. So we're prepared for that. The lads know about that. We've gone into detail a lot about that, but I think my message is everybody should be optimistic about this season to come. But let's go a step at a time in terms of expectation. let's just work with reason and logic, but also a little bit of dreaming.
Okay, and you've got a couple of fans forums coming up. I think you're going to meet with the fans probably on a couple of occasions. I think there's one on July the 20th, and then just before the season starts, I think on August the 1st.
Yeah. So really keen for the supporters to come down and just try and support what we're doing and challenge me as well if they feel like they need to. I'm happy for that as well, because I think it's important if they pay their money that. Like I've said last year, I'll be in the bar after every home game till 6 o'clock. So there's a fans forum after every home game. If someone wants to come to me and reasonably and logically have a conversation with me about how they think the team can be better, then listen, I'm all ears. So I want us to progress as a group. So I'm happy for fans forums. I really look forward to them actually, and I think we're in a time now where the supporters actually quite enjoy them and. I've not had a fans forum yet. I've only had about 2 where we've had any negativity. So let's keep it that way.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, Gavin, for your time. And we're really looking forward to the season starting in earnest. And wish you all the very best of luck.
Me too. Thanks, Rich.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Thank you.